Good morning, fellow babies. A great day in store for you here in the metro area.
But the senator, while insisting he was not intoxicated, could not explain his nudity.
For hundreds of years, people from all walks of life have reported sightings of a large hairy animal walking on 2 feet. The scientific community has dismissed these sightings as hoaxes, hallucinations, or misidentified bears. But is there another option? Is it possible that there is an ape, the largest of the great apes, unrecognized and unclassified by modern science, roaming the forest of North America? Please join us as we seek the answer to this compelling question. You have arrived at the intersection of myth and science, of fact and folklore. You have arrived at Bigfoot Crossing.
Hey, fellow babies. You have arrived at the intersection of myth and science, of fact and folklore. You have arrived at Bigfoot Crossing. I'm Michael Willie. I am your guide on this ongoing expedition. Thanks so much for being with us here today at Bigfoot Crossing. Now, we've got something a special in mind today. My good friend Jerry Kostecka has written a book that is currently a bestseller on Amazon. And so we're going to take a break from our discussion of the events of October 6, 1958, and have an interview here with Jerry. Jerry and I recorded this interview over the Spotify for Podcasters app, because Jerry lives in Florida and I live in Tennessee. And so without further ado, we're going to launch into this interview right now. Again, thanks so much for being with us. At this point, I want to welcome to the Bigfoot Crossing podcast my good friend Gerald Kostecka. And Gerald has a new book out, and we're going to talk about that. So Jerry, what's the title of your book?
So, hey, Michael, it's nice to be on. I appreciate you having me to be able to talk to your wonderful folks. The new book is called What If? It's volume 1 of outlandish theories that might actually be true.
That's a great title. So are they conspiracy theories, or just what types of theories, I guess, are we talking about?
So it's actually, Michael, I'm in my 50s, and, anybody that's about my age probably grew up much like I did. I grew up watching shows like In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy.
Love that show.
It covered such a variety of topics. And unlike today, when you can just hop on the internet, type in a couple of words, and just more information than you could digest in a lifetime will pop up. Back then, an episode of In Search Of came on, and for a lot of people, it was the first time they were ever being presented with that particular information. When you saw In Search Of, and then it was like on the Bermuda Triangle, or the Loch Ness Monster, or Bigfoot. When it was one of those topics, for a lot of people, I know for me included, it was the first time I was being presented with this as even a possibility. And I think that ingrained in me when it comes to, I guess, just my curiosity, I guess. So the book actually includes a bunch of different types of theories. Anything from, cryptids, specifically, I mean, I'll give you a couple of the chapter titles. Bigfoot, Stonehenge, crop circles, aliens, and UFOs, but as two separate categories. There's one in there called the universal donor theories. People might not be familiar with that at all, but that is something that I thought would be interesting to cover. The lost city of Atlantis, the Bermuda Triangle, JFK and the possible alien connection, which this is another one of those that not a whole lot of people have heard of, but that once they learn about it, I think they're going to be intrigued. The true nature of the soul, the universal collective theory, celebrity doppelgangers, and the replacement theory, and then Adam and Eve. But it's not ADAM, it's ATOM, Adam and Eve. Like the creation of the atom was the eve of creation. So there's some really interesting topics that we're going to be covering. And volume 1, actually, when I started this, I've been working on this for quite some time. I've been doing a lot of research on things. I love watching information, reading information about, I guess, fringe theories, if that's what people want to consider them. But I really enjoy it. And when I decided to actually put this book together, it was my wife that actually prompted me to. She said, honey, you have so many things that you know about. You should share some of this stuff, because this is really more of a passion project for me. Most of the stuff I've done in the past has been health and wellness related or business related. So this is really my first step out into really covering something that is more of a passion project to me than, your everyday run-of-the-mill book that, you're putting out there for business purposes or whatever else. And you know what? Surprisingly, in a very, very good way, I found out that my book actually on Amazon is a #1 new release, which obviously is a cool thing. So yeah, we cover all sorts of stuff. And actually, this is volume 1, and volume 2 is pretty much done, because I had enough. The original book was going to be like 24 chapters. And I realized maybe starting out the gate with a 300-page book wasn't the best way to introduce this. So I decided to split it up. And so the first one is done. It's available now. And the second one is definitely in the works and getting ready to be released. I'm going to give it a little bit of time so the first one can people can check it out and get a copy and digest it. And then again, I think that will be a gateway for them to want the second volume, because like I said, some of the things that I'm covering, they're not your run-of-the-mill everyday, theories, so to speak.
Right. And I think that's what's so fascinating about it, because, you talk about fringe theories, but fringe theories, over the past, in my lifetime, in our lifetime, a lot of fringe theories have become mainstream.
Absolutely. Actually, I cover that a little bit in the book, talking about the aspect of evidence, and that evidence is one of those things that what we know today might be disrupted tomorrow.
Exactly.
And that's a real fact that people have to really understand. Michael, one of the main goals of this book, okay, obviously it's to inform and even entertain people with some of these outlandish theories. But at the end of the day, the real intention is to get people to just think, because I think that's one of the things that's happening today, is that people are almost forgetting how to think. They are being willing to have other people tell them what to think. And That's not the same thing. I want people to be able to look at something and scratch their head and ask the question, what if, and then allow themselves to kind of take that ideology and apply it to other areas of life. I know it's very easy for people to get very set in their ways of what they think, what they believe, how they do things. But I really do think if a person can embrace the possibility of possibilities, that it opens up a whole new world, because it's basically admitting to yourself that you don't know everything. And the only way that you can learn is if you do actually understand that you don't know everything. and you make yourself open to the possibilities of possibility. I mean, that's really what I think people are kind of missing these days, because once you say to yourself, I think this whole Bigfoot thing could be real, it opens up everything as that. Hey, there's the possibility that anything could be real. And I think that almost, it's like igniting that inner child when it comes to that childlike wonder. Remember the way we used to look at the world? We used to look at the world like anything was possible. You know, we'd look up in the sky and we'd see the stars at night, and we would think of the endless possibilities. During the day, we'd look up and we'd look at the clouds, and we'd ask ourselves, well, what do I see in that? And now people are walking around with a device in their hands and their eyes glued to it. The world's passing us by, and we're letting it.
Yes, and that's a great point, because you have this wealth of information, that you can carry around in your pocket now, but instead of experiencing the real life, people are experiencing a virtual life, and they're not even seeing what's going on around them.
No,
they're not. And that's dangerous from just a personal growth standpoint, but also from a personal freedom standpoint.
Absolutely. And I don't think people understand that. Handcuffs can come in varying forms. They really can. And what can be the scariest handcuff is the one that's put around your mind.
Exactly. I mean, and that was, well, I won't say it was attempted. It was successfully done during the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely.
When folks with differing opinions about the source of the pandemic were
persecuted.
Thank you. Persecuted. They were blackballed. They were what do they call it? Deplatformed.
Yep.
And it was governmental censorship. And everybody said, well, it's for the best. Well, no, it wasn't. It wasn't for the best, because once again, some of those theories that people were saying was disinformation is now being accepted as a real possibility.
Oh, in some cases, it's actual fact. Beyond possibility, it's been proven as actual fact in a lot of different cases.
Exactly. And so this is great to open people's minds up to possibilities. And what was it? Shakespeare said there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. And there are so many things out there. And, Bigfoot is certainly one of them, but, I'm fascinated by you and I have talked. I'm an ancient aliens kind of guy, and but all of these possibilities, people just poo-poo it. And
yeah, you know what? Here's the thing that I've never understood. Let's say that none of them are real. Okay, let's just hypothetically say not one of these. And again, if we want to call them fringe theories or outlandish theories, let's just say that none of them are real. Is it really hurting anything to consider the possibility? Does it really hurt anything? And if the answer to that question is, well, no, not really. Okay, well, if it really doesn't hurt anything, then why don't you leave it alone? Because one of the other possibilities is that they're all real.
Exactly.
And so it's like, and that to me should just be enough. That the possibility that something could exist or something could be real, that should be enough. The words "what if" are responsible for more forward progress of humanity and the human species than any other two words. What if there's something on the other side of this big body of water? What if I rub these two sticks together? Maybe something will happen. The words "what if" are responsible for so much in our history. And we've almost gotten to the point where we've stopped questioning. I mean, it's funny because, Michael, we're both old enough to remember at least ideology from the 60s. And it was like, what was the ideology in the 60s? Never trust anybody over 30. Question everything. Stick it to the man. That was the mindset. And it's like,
Right.
it's like, do what you're told, stay in line, believe what I tell you to. And I'm just like, how did that happen in such a short period of time?
I mean, it's almost like we're living the movie they live.
Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, especially when you really look at how much we are being marketed to and advertised to. And I mean, when I'm not even going to call them celebrity. When an influencer, and again, I'm not even sure exactly what that's supposed to mean, but
Me neither.
Influencer has more influence on a person's decision making than their family that love them and have been part of them and have helped raise them and everything. When that happens, I'm like, man, there are some definite issues in our world, because that's the kind of stuff that's happening. We're putting credence and trust in people that, no offense to them, but they haven't earned.
Right.
And I think that's one of the realities. And again, that's why I'm just trying to get people to think, because I think if people start thinking more, when you start thinking more, you question more. When you question more, you get more answers. You understand more. And it makes you a more well-rounded, in my opinion, better prepared person to handle the actual things that life will throw at you.
Yep. And it's what if is they're powerful words, because they do have the power to ignite that spark of imagination and that spark of curiosity, to make you go and look at stuff and not just accept what somebody says, but to question. And there is nothing wrong with questioning, and I've said before, I welcome skeptics to listen to the Bigfoot Crossing podcast, because how else are they going to learn the other side of the Bigfoot argument when all they hear is, well, it just can't be real?
Absolutely. And that's, Michael, that is such a great point, because, one of the things I've always prided myself in is the ability to see both sides of the coin. Okay. I could be that guy on the debate team that it doesn't matter whether it's pro or con. I can figure out a stance in either direction. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have my own opinion, and my opinion could be pro something, but I understand the cons. And I think that's another thing that's very important for people to think about, is that if you want to be a well-rounded person, you actually need to know the argument on both sides. You can't be, well, this is what I believe in, so this is all I'm going to listen to. I'm only going to listen to this. You also have to understand what the other side is, or the other opinion, or the other, factual information, or even what the other theory is that might be contrary to what you believe, in order to have an actual understanding. Because understanding isn't knowing one side of something. That's not understanding. That's a biased viewpoint. That's all that is.
Exactly.
But if you're willing to look at any topic through a lens of possibility, that yes, you might have your own opinion about something, and so that opinion is going to be based on a certain viewpoint, but trying to ostracize and eliminate an opposing viewpoint because you think it somehow strengthens yours, that doesn't make you a well-rounded person. Like I said, that makes you very biased. It makes you a very one-dimensional person.
Right.
And so I would encourage people to do the exact same thing. You know what? If you're skeptical, fantastic, man. Some healthy skepticism is not a bad thing. It protects you from being taken advantage of, and it protects you from things that you need protecting from. But being skeptical and closed-minded, that's a bad combination. The way I like to do things is I will approach something with skepticism, but I'm also open-minded to realize that I'm about to be presented with information that I might not have already known, and I need to be open to accepting that information in order to really be able to learn something from it. And that's something else, man. I love learning about stuff. I really do. I enjoy it. I like being that guy in the room who doesn't say much, but if you had a question, you already know who to go talk to.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's healthy. It's healthy from an intellectual standpoint. It's healthy from a relationship standpoint, not only like within your family, but with your friends and your fellow man. I'm astounded. When I go on Facebook and I just get posts from people that I know and people that I've known for years and years, and they take a political stance and basically call me an idiot for me disagreeing with them, and all I'm doing is expressing myself the same way they express them, and they're unwilling to listen, and I try to keep a back and forth going, but people are so reactionary anymore. Rather than listening to what people have to say and thinking about it and then responding, they just react immediately, and I guess the anonymity or the relative anonymity, I guess, of social media just removes any filters that some people might have or should have. But to just close down arguments by saying you're wrong, you're always going to be wrong, and that's the end of it. You don't learn anything that way.
Not at all.
And you don't grow that way, and you certainly don't influence people that way. So it's I love the idea of opening minds, of opening people's thoughts and the possibility of possibilities. And Jerry, we're going to have to bring this to a close, but I appreciate your time. And again, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me be part of this. And if I could just say one thing in regards to what we just talked about a second ago about the difference of opinion and stuff. I heard something. It's close to this. Freedom of speech is encouraging and accepting what someone else has to say, even if it's completely something that you disagree with. That's what freedom of speech actually is.
Amen. That's exactly right.
I have the freedom to say what I want, and you can too, as long as you agree with me. That's not what freedom of speech is. And I think we need to get back to that and understand that you can have a difference of opinion with somebody, but that doesn't mean you have to dislike them. That you just don't have to. So, Michael, I really appreciate you letting me be part of today's podcast, and I hope people will check out the book, find out why it's a #1 new release on Amazon. It's got some fantastic stuff in it, and including a little piece from our host, Mr. Willie here, because we actually do have the first chapter is about Bigfoot, and he was gracious enough to give us a little bit of personal perspective. And Michael, I do really appreciate that from you, sir.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the invitation. And in the interest of full disclosure, I should have said that at the outset, but I forgot. But thank you for that opportunity, and I do encourage people to pick up the book. It's available on Amazon, and I will be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference in Gatlinburg in June. I will have copies of the books there on sale, and you have a limited number of signed copies. Am I correct on that?
That is correct. It's basically a special edition with a little message and signature from yours truly, the author, Gerald Kostecka.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Jerry, thank you so much, and congratulations on the book, and we'll have you back on again sometime.
Thank you, Michael. Hey, congratulations on your success with the podcast.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Bye, buddy.
All right, fellow babies, that concludes the interview. And I want to correct one thing that I said in the interview, because I said I'll be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference in June. That's actually incorrect. The Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference is in July, on July 27th to be specific, in Gatlinburg, Tennessee at the Gatlinburg Convention Center. And so I will be there as a vendor. Bigfoot Crossing will be in the house. And we will have, amongst many other things, we will have copies of Jerry's excellent book, What If, for sale. And I want to again congratulate my good friend Jerry Kostecka for his book and the fact that it is a bestseller on Amazon. Well, fellow babies, that's another episode in the can. Be sure to join us right here at Bigfoot Crossing for our next episode as we continue our discussion of the events of October 1958 in Bluff Creek, California. October 6th, 1958, a very slow news day, part 2. Thanks so much for being with us here at Bigfoot Crossing, fellow babies. Now get out of here.
We hope you have enjoyed your visit with us here at Bigfoot Crossing. The internet home for Bigfoot Crossing can be found at www.bigfootcrossing.net. Michael Willie's website, Bigfoot in Tennessee, can be found at www.tnbigfoot.net. Please follow us on Facebook at Bigfoot Tennessee. You can also follow Michael Willie on Twitter. His handle is at Michael B. Willie. Each episode of Bigfoot Crossing is posted to the Bigfoot Crossing YouTube channel. Please subscribe so you can be notified when new episodes are posted. Your feedback is always welcome. Please email questions and comments to tnsasquatch@gmail.com. Be sure to let us know which episode you have a question or comment about. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time right here at Bigfoot Crossing.
This is Brock Whitmore, live on the scene. Sir, did you see what happened?
Yeah, did.